Hello and welcome to the Spargur Yarn Crafts podcast channel. My name is WSpargur. I am your host. I am coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, where I live with my two dogs, Princess and Duchess, my roommate Delilah, and her dog Duke. And today is the Big 5-0. It is my 50th podcast. I am so happy to be here. It has been a while. So we've got a few admin things that I'm going to cover real quick. If you are new to the channel, you can find all of the links to everything in the video description box below. So you've got all of my personal social media. You also have all of the social media for my dyeing company, Spargur Yarn Co. That right there. You can find everything about the Ravelry group, any of my designs. You can also find my Amazon storefront if you're interested in any of the tools or things that I use. You can also find all of the information about the equipment that I use to film my podcast in the video description box below as well. So all of that is down there. I will also be linking all of the different projects that have patterns that are not original designs or things that I just made up. Those will have links in the video description box as well. If you are new and you are unfamiliar to navigating the podcast, there are also timestamps in the video description box below. You can click on the things that you're interested in seeing, and then you can just go about your day whenever you've seen what you're interested in. I take no offense to you watching just a short little bit here and there. If I do any life updates, they are at the end, because I know not everybody is interested in those things, so those will be at the end. One big major update is I did finally upgrade my camera. I have the camera that will now zoom in when I put something in front of it. So now it will actually adjust and you can see the things that I want to show you. So that is going to be really cool. The other thing is I don't have to film in 10-minute segments anymore. But I am going to try and keep the podcast down below 30 minutes as much as possible. With this podcast, I do have quite a few updates. We might run over 30 minutes, but I'm really hoping we don't. If it does look like we're going to get close to 30 minutes, I will take some of the other things and kind of put them into a different video because I have some Stitches West updates and some other stuff like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our works in progress. I have a few fun things that I'm ready to show, and I don't know, I think maybe only one of them you've seen before. So let's start with that one. In my cute Slytherin bag. I made this myself. And this is the, oops, hold on, my needles are poking through something here. So this is that simple top-down raglan I was making. Ooh, it's curling really badly. I have separated the sleeves, finally. This is in my own personal hand-dyed yarn. And what I love about this yarn is that it actually has different thicknesses in it. So you can kind of see there, like right there, there's some places where it's a little bit thicker, there are places where it's a little bit thinner. Also, it's not this red in real life, but one of the things that I do love about the yarn that you can kind of see here is all of the tonal variations of this yarn. Again, it is my own hand-dyed, and I dyed a lot of it at once, so the great thing is that I can knit a good portion of it with one ball of yarn. I might actually get the whole body done from the same dye batch, and it's the same skein, because it was a huge skeiny yarn. So I did separate for the sleeves. I've gotten about 2 inches now below the sleeves. And I'm knitting this on US 7s. This is a worsted weight, mostly. It's a mostly worsted weight sweater. And I'll just knit to the bottom and then do my ribbing. I think I'm going to do 2x2 ribbing on this one instead of 1x1. The other thing I did is that I did make a shallow V for the collar, so this will have a very shallow V-neck, which is actually something that I've been wanting to try, is doing a V-neck instead of just a crew neck. So we're going to try that and see how it goes. But that is my current first work in progress, probably the one that has taken a little bit of a back seat at the moment. But I have put a little bit of work in on it recently. This has to go back in this bag. Oh, there's my wallet. I'm that person. Okay. And the next work in progress is an original design. And this, forgot which ball of yarn is currently attached. I guess it's that one. Okay. So a while ago I made this shawl that had this beautiful mosaic slip stitching in it, and I could never really show it up close except on my Instagram, so that's going to change. So this is what I'm working on currently. This is also my hand-dyed yarn. The bottom one here is Cinnamon Cider. The top one here is Hyacinth. These are two new tonal colorways available in the shop. But as you can see here, I'm doing kind of a slip stitch deal in the stockinette place. So it's slip with yarn in front and then knit the next stitch, and it alternates. So it creates this really cool texture while also being easy. And it alternates with garter here. But you can also see it here in the Cinnamon Cider colorway, which is absolutely gorgeous as well. So this is being knit on US 5s. This is a fingering weight shawl, and this will be a 2-skein project. I'm actually having to do some weighing of the yarn that I currently have left and then do a little bit of math to make sure that I'm actually going to be able to finish in just 2 skeins. I really want to keep it to 2 skeins if I can. I really don't want to have to add a third one because there won't be much of a third one used. And I try to waste yarn as little as possible. And by waste, I mean, if I'm going to use it on a project, I'd like to use as much of it as possible. You know, so really what's left over are just really scraps, not, 25, 30, 40 grams. So the way this works is that these are each 20-row sections. So I did a garter, a mosaic, a garter, a mosaic, then I did garter, mosaic, garter, then we're going to do mosaic garter. So it goes 4, 3, 2 in this color, then 1 in hyacinth, and so it's going to slowly fade, and each time it's going to be cut in half until you get to the end of the shawl where it should just be alternating 1 row or 2 rows every time. So that's the idea, is to fade it in, and I really like playing with colors that you wouldn't normally think would go together. I think it just creates a really cool contrast, and it's just really interesting. So I'm really excited to get this kind of done and typed up, and then eventually out to testers. So that's number 2. The third work in progress is really big. I actually don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to get onto the camera. But I've really been into my crocheting recently, and I've been trying to use yarn, and I decided that I really wanted to do one of those gorgeous, gorgeous Afghans that have texture and color and just a lot of fun and visual aspects that you don't normally get with a lot of crochet. So I found one. It's called Sacred Spaces. It's by this woman named Helen Shrimpton, and she's done several of these Afghans, but this one happened to be a crochet along, so it was done in parts and the pattern was free. And it also had video tutorials and everything with it, just in case, because there are a few techniques I encountered, and I was like, I have no idea what this is. So, I am on part 5 of 9, and this is supposed to fit a queen-size bed. So again, I don't know how much of this is going to end up on the camera. Now it's stuck in the bag. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so here's the end. I've just done 2 rows of double crochet with some increases. So we've got all these, we've got some clusters in here, we've got granny. This whole thing is kind of a star. We can see, pull back there. And there's some other gorgeous textures in here. I'm only going to go about halfway down because once you get to the middle, it just looks the same all the way around. So that's what we're doing, and it's got such gorgeous texture. I mean, just some beautiful, beautiful stitching, really ingenious construction. I really love how this is put together. And, okay, if you want to get a good look, another good look, I'm going to put a picture at the end showing it laid out in its current stage. And then you can also rewind the video, of course, to go see more of the detail again. It's heavy. I'm using Lion Brand. One of them is Woolies, which is a 20% wool, 80% acrylic. Then I also used Mandala, their wool blend. So the Mandala wool blend is also a 20% wool, 80% acrylic, just in different colorways. They're all 590 yards per ball. I'm on ball 5. I'm going to need 5 balls, or 4 more, so a total of 9 balls to complete this Afghan. So the last part of 5, it finishes in the circular shape. Then in part 6, we start adding the corners so it'll square off. And that part I'm really excited to get to. I'm only 4 rows away from ending part 5, so I'm really excited to be finishing that. It's a huge project. I've done in about 2 weeks. It took about 2 weeks to get that far. I started it before I left for Utah for a retreat. So yeah, it's been about 2.5, 3 weeks, probably about 3 weeks by the time this podcast goes live. So I've been putting a lot of work in it. I'm also using a 4mm hook. It's the smallest of my Furls Ebony streamlines. I don't know if I've shown my Furls hooks up close. This is my Furls hook. Hold on. Just gotta focus in. So these are my streamlines. They're ebony wood, nice and ergonomic. I really like the shape of these. They're very quick, very slick. I can do a lot of crocheting. I can crochet for hours, and I'd never get any hand cramping. I love these. My favorite of my set is my Cafe Swirls. Hold on. So there's this beautiful resin, and they just swirl. They're just gorgeous. I love these. I've got 3 of these. So yeah, I'm using my 4mm for that, and the Lion Brand Mandala and Woolies are all light DK weight, so they're pretty easy to use. They're nice and lightweight, but they go a long way. And it's self-striping yarn, so I don't have to do any of the color changes. I have learned so many new techniques doing this Afghan, and I feel much more confident in my crochet skills now that I've done this. And so I really cannot wait to finish that. That is going to be probably my biggest project for the year. That I have both started and will finish this year. I'm also planning on entering it in the Clark County Fair this year. I'm hoping that it, takes away a prize. That would be awesome. I don't necessarily need to win first place or anything, but if it takes away any kind of prize, I'll be super excited. So I am going to enter that in the fair. If it goes to state, I will freak out. That'll be crazy. So that is coming up in a month, I believe, a little bit over a month. So I will be entering that in the fair. Very, very excited. Let's move on to the we just did works in progress. Duh. Let's do finished objects. That's what we're doing, right? Finished objects. Okay, so there's a mess here, and that's because I haven't done a video in a while, but I have finished a lot of things that I started. So let's, I guess, just grab what's close. This is a cowl I did. This is my very first Fair Isle project. I had never knit Fair Isle before, so I actually did all the floating and all of that fun stuff. I did it. Now, I don't remember this yarn. It was something I picked up on clearance in Kentucky when I went home for Christmas. That was when I was home, right? Christmas? Yes, Christmas. It's wool. I think it's superwash. Maybe not. So the design, it doesn't say anything. What it is, it's my name, Will Spargur, and it's translated into binary code. So binary code, if you're unfamiliar, is a 8-digit series of 1s and 0s that represent a character. So like W is a character, so W would be represented by an 8-digit compilation of 0s and 1s. So if you do Will Spargur, you get 12 characters, each with an 8-digit number, because the space is also an 8-digit number. So that's 12 times 8, which is 96. I'm doing that math right. I think. I believe it's 96, but I divided that by 3. Yeah, so it's 32 stitches across, and I turned it into a 3-row repeat, and then I repeated I repeated the repeat 3 times, so a total of 9 rows. And that turned out great. I'm really pleased with it. I'm not afraid of Fair Isle now, because that was my biggest thing, is I was afraid to do it. I did corrugated ribbing. Well, it's not ribbing, it's corrugated stockinette, so it's all stockinette, but the colors alternate, so those also have floats. And I'm really, really proud of this. I think I'm going to do a little bit more and kind of maybe do a little bit more with this design, maybe make a hat also, something, I don't know, I'm going to play with it. But I was at Stitches West, and the dyers of Anzula Luxury Fibers saw this, and they loved it so much, they asked me to design a little bit more specific cowl using their brand name as the binary code color pattern. So I've already started working on that. I'm using their yarns. I haven't, I've created the color chart. I have not actually wound up the yarn or anything to start it, and it's the yarns on my shelf. But I am doing that. Very excited, very ready to kind of throw my hat back into the ring of designing, and to also be designing a Fair Isle project is kind of crazy to me. Color work was so scary, but I feel ready. I feel ready to go for it. I've already got ideas about how I want to make it happen, so we're going to do that. We're going to go all in, and I cannot wait to show you that as it continues. Next finished object is a simple hat. It's just a simple stockinette hat, worsted weight with a pom-pom, and it's actually a little looser than I expected it to be. I think I knit this on US 8s. Maybe I should have gone down to 6s. But I like, so it's got a little bit of slouch, it's got the pom-pom. This is definitely my style of hat. This is what I prefer. This is Jelly Bean by Plymouth Yarn Company. I don't know if this yarn is still made. It was something someone had in their stash that they had gotten from someone who had it in their stash, who got it from someone who had it in their stash. So it's like 10 years old. But it is acrylic. I don't know, I love pom-poms, but I also just really love slouchy hats, and the slouchier the slouchier they are, the more I love them. So this was fun. It's not the warmest hat, which I'm actually okay with because it's not very cold here. I did wear it I was in Bryan's Head, Utah, which is a ski resort town, 11,000 feet above sea level, and it was under 6 feet of snow while we were there. And I did wear this there, and it didn't do the greatest job of keeping my head warm, but that's okay. I usually don't wear a hat when it's cold anyway, so I think it's just because it wasn't tight, and so the wind kept getting in it. But yeah, that's the second finished object. Let me fix my hair here. Okay. I have others. Oh, they're behind me. So I did a knitting retreat in Utah, and somebody got the Tanis Gray official Harry Potter knitting book, and so we did a Harry Potter knitting retreat. Just the 4 of us, really fun thing, but we each did projects from the book. So I did the Slytherin Cup Cozy. This is in Cascade 220, they're non-superwash, and again, I am a Slytherin. And of course, you can see, so this is done in the round, so it's why it looks like that. If this was knit flat, I think that would have lined up better. But a lot of fun, great projects, really cute. I really should use this cup more now. But yeah, we did that. And then we also each did one of the Horcrux washcloths, and I did Nagini. So this is Nagini the snake, the Horcrux, and this is done in Cascade Pima cotton, and that just looks like so much fun. And both of these were done in that weekend. I finished the Cup Cozy in about 2 hours, and this took about 3, just straight knitting. I don't remember the needle sizes. I think I used whatever was recommended in the book to knit these. These were really fun projects. I might actually use this because I have blocked it, so it's really nice. It's a fun project. It's a great book. You should check out the book. The next thing I want to knit out of there is the house cardigans. I really think those would be fun, and I've always wanted a house cardigan anyway. So yeah, that's another finished object. Now, I've got 3 here, and that's a mess. Okay. Hold on. This one is, okay. So this is Alicorn. It is an Expression Fiber Arts pattern. It was free when I downloaded it. I believe it is a free pattern. This is just using a bunch of scraps of yarn, different yarns. Most of them, I believe all of them, are wool of some kind. This is a really easy, simple pattern. It actually is written for fingering weight, but I did it in DK weight. And I'm really proud of this outcome, but it's massive. I actually don't know what I'm gonna, it doesn't wear well, and I'm not really sure how to wear it, so I'm kind of playing around with it. But it was a really fun project to just use a bunch of scraps. I'm sure someone I know would love it if I can't figure out how to wear it. Or it'll just be a great wall decoration, like that blanket. Anyway, I used a 6mm hook because the pattern called for a 5mm on fingering weight, so since I did DK, I went up to a 6mm, and I used scrap yarns, leftovers. So this is Mother Earth from Leading Wind Fiber Arts. This is actually leftover from the binary cowl that I just showed. This is hand-dyed by my friend Michael. This is something that I got in a bag from a stash. I don't think it had a tag, actually. But I have more of this, and I want to knit a hat out of it. But there were 2 balls, so I used one in here. This is something Fair Isle, Touch of Alpaca or something. It's not that. There's some alpaca in it, but it's a Fair Isle something or other that I had from Hobby Lobby from like 2 years ago. And then this is some of my hand-dyed. This was an original colorway called Cactus Flower that I haven't dyed again because I have a different batch of the dye, and it breaks into a gray now instead of staying this nice green. So I haven't tried to dye this colorway recently. And then there's a border, which is just some gray wool acrylic thing, I think. And then I blocked it out. It's got about an 8.5 to 9 foot wingspan. It's huge. I actually had to buy twice as many blocking mats just to fit this. And then I had to block it in my garage, which is where I am now. Okay. Oh, this is just ending up on the floor. This is the Game Day Make-Along from Marley Bird. This was for the Super Bowl. They did a 1-day make-along. And this was the crochet version. There was also a knit pattern, which was a cowl, I believe. And I decided to do crochet because I'm faster at crochet. And this ends up, you can choose. You can either do a shrug or a shawl. I chose to do the shrug. And there are some pictures on my Instagram, I believe, of me wearing this. It's really simple. It was really fun and really easy to follow. I actually want to make it again in wool instead of acrylic. So I'm planning on kind of putting some colors together to do this again, but I really, really loved the construction of this. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. I believe you can still find some of the information on Ravelry and on Marley Bird's website if you were interested in making this. If it's still up, I will link it. If it's not up, I won't link it. Yeah. Okay. That, and then I have one more finished object. And you guys, I told you I wasn't going to show this till I was done. I finished. Oh shoot, I broke the hanger. Well, I guess that means it should come off the hanger. Sorry, one of my dogs heard someone pull up in the driveway and they think that it's me. And it's not. I've been out here this whole time. Well, okay. Not the first time I've broken a hanger, won't be the last. But I finished the cloak. I've got the hood, which is that big black thing right there. And then I've got the gray section. Then I've got the black here at the bottom. This I also finished while I was on the retreat, and I wore it at the retreat, so at the end of this video there will be pictures from the retreat and you can see me wearing it. Again, it's so big, it's really hard to show on camera. But this is using Michael's Loops and Threads Endless Impeccable. It's when they had their 1,790 yard balls of Impeccable. They don't make it anymore. It was kind of a limited time deal. But it's white, gray, and black. And then I also have the matching short sleeve crochet sweater that I made with what was left over from that. And I actually still have some of the black left over too. So if you want to see pictures of me wearing that, stay tuned to the end of the video, and I'll put kind of a slideshow reel from the retreat and also some stuff from Stitches West if this video isn't too long. Okay, we're getting close to that 30-minute mark. So I'm just going to cover a couple of things and then I'll call it. Then I'll do a Stitches West update. I'll do a retreat, a Stitches West update, and a life update video later. So just real quick, for Spargur Yarn Co, my friend Knitboop on Instagram, her name's Yura, she created the Namu sweater and she did it in my yarn. So if you are interested in a pre-order sweater kit, that is available now on the website. You can find the link in the video description box below. All of the sizing information is on the listing, so if you're kind of wondering how much yarn you're going to need for your size, all of the sizes that are in the pattern are listed on the site, so you can go ahead and look there. You can also use Afterpay, because I know sweater kits can be expensive. Afterpay will split up your payment into 4 installments. No credit, no interest. It just makes it easier for you to get a sweater's quantity of yarn without having to pay for all of it up front. So that is an option when you go to checkout. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to link Yura's design page on Ravelry. I'm going to link that in the video description box below, and I'll also put her Instagram handle so you can see more about that sweater. I've got... today I dyed the yarn for Zach Stout for his wrap. If you watch the Stout Stitch podcast, it's a crochet podcast. Zach is a really cool guy. He and I are really great friends. We have virtual knit nights every now and then. Really cool. Really love talking with him and collaborating with him. I have hung up his yarn to dry, and I'll be sending it to him this week, and we are going to be doing pre-order kits for that wrap very soon as well. Another designer, Lori Wagner, is designing a shawl for me. It is a 2-skein fingering weight shawl, and she has finished that, and she is going to be getting it out to testers very soon, and then you'll be seeing pre-order kits for those as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of list the colorways, because it works better with solids or semi-solids or tonals, not speckleds. So when those kits come out, you'll just be able to choose the first color that you want and the second colorway that you want, and then those will also be dyed to order. So any kits that I do, when they are on pre-order, they are dyed to order. Later, when the pattern is released, those kits will be available, but again, they'll be dyed to order. And then, of course, I mentioned the designing for Anzula Luxury Fibers. That's going to be really exciting, and I'm going to show you that as I get started on it. I do have to wind up that yarn, though. There's a lot going on. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the Spargur Yarn Crafts, the Spargur Yarn Co world, and I'm really excited to share it with you. If you haven't already, there's a Knit Crate video previously posted. You can go and check that out and find out what Knit Crate is all about. I love Knit Crate. I love those subscriptions. I have a lot of their yarn, and I actually plan on using it for a few different things. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out that video. Coming up after this video and a future upload, I will go over the Utah retreat, Stitches West, and I will go over some of my life updates from the last time you've seen me. Keep in mind that these videos, these podcasts are probably going to be less frequent just so that I can get more done, and because things with the business are kind of a little crazy right now, and I'm still kind of working out the time management thing. But I am not gone. I have not disappeared. I will be back. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all again very soon here on the Spargur Yarn Crafts channel. Thanks. Bye.